A single project at Christchurch Airport is costing over 300 million New Zealand dollars, involves installing 300,000 solar panels, and will generate enough electricity to power 36,000 homes. At the same time, engineers are doubling the airport's freight capacity by building a concrete platform the size of 6 football pitches. And inside the terminal, they are performing the equivalent of open-heart surgery, completely rebuilding the interior while millions of passengers walk just meters away. This isn't one upgrade, it's 3 colossal projects happening all at once. But how do you build a massive solar farm without blinding pilots with sun glare? And how do you completely reinvent an airport while it continues to operate 24 hours a day? Before we get to the concrete, steel, and solar panels, we need to understand the problem. And the problem is simple: growth. Christchurch Airport wasn't just getting busy, it was facing a future where its infrastructure would completely fail. The airport started humbly in 1936 with a single grass runway just 915 meters long. Over the decades, it grew, extending its main runway to its current 3,288 meters, long enough to handle the giant jets that connect New Zealand to the world. But that growth was about to go into overdrive. Projections in the airport's long-term master plan were staggering. Passenger numbers were forecast to climb from over 6 million to a massive 11.65 million by the year 2040. Aircraft movements were set to jump by 65%. The existing terminal, baggage systems, and aircraft parking stands simply could not cope. But the pressure wasn't just coming from people, it was also coming from boxes. The rise of online shopping and the global demand for the South Island's fresh exports created a parallel crisis. In just 5 years leading up to 2019, the value of air freight imports exploded by 150%, while exports jumped by 100%. The airport was being squeezed from 2 directions at once, a perfect storm of passengers and parcels that threatened to bring the gateway to the South Island to a grinding halt. So how do you solve a problem this big? You don't start with one project, you start with 3. The first target was the freight crisis. The plan was not just an upgrade, it was a complete reinvention of how the airport handles cargo. The core of the project is a massive new aircraft parking area, known as an APRON. Engineers are building a slab of specialized pavement equivalent in size to 6 full-sized football pitches. This isn't just about creating more space, it's about a radical increase in efficiency. The old APRON could only handle 3 cargo planes at a time. The new one can park 8 smaller Boeing 737-sized jets or 4 giant 757 wide-body aircraft at the same time, more than doubling the airport's capacity in a single move. This new APRON sits at the heart of an 80-hectare logistics hub called Kōwhai Park. This is where the real genius of the design becomes clear. The aircraft parking is built right on the doorstep of the warehouses for global giants like DHL and FedEx. This creates a hyper-efficient system where cargo can be moved from a plane's belly to a sorting facility in minutes. Inside these new buildings, the technology is just as impressive. DHL is investing 42 million New Zealand dollars in a new 8,500 square meter facility with a high-speed automated sorting system that can process up to 6,500 parcels an hour. But building this presented a monumental challenge. You are pouring thousands of tons of concrete and operating heavy machinery right next to a live 24/7 airfield. The single biggest engineering hurdle is something called the Obstacle Limitation Surface, or OLS. You can think of it as an invisible safety bubble that extends out from the runways. No crane, no truck, no piece of equipment can ever be allowed to break through this invisible surface, or it could endanger aircraft. This required meticulous planning for every single construction movement. On top of that, the construction couldn't shut down nearby runways, so engineers had to develop methods that would still allow emergency aircraft to land if needed. And beneath the ground, another challenge lurked. The airport sits above Christchurch's sensitive aquifers, the source of the city's drinking water. So advanced environmental control systems had to be installed to ensure that no part of the construction process could contaminate this vital resource. But moving boxes is only half the battle. What about the millions of people passing through the gates? While the freight hub was a project of brute force expansion, the passenger terminal required a more delicate approach. This is the first major terminal upgrade since 2013, but it's not about making the building bigger. Instead, it's a complete internal reconfiguration, like performing open-heart surgery on a patient who is wide awake. The goal is to dramatically improve the flow of people and make the experience better, squeezing more capacity out of the existing building. The project involves a complete remodel of the food courts, adding 12 new eateries, new retail spaces, fully upgraded bathrooms, and new areas for parents and children. But the real technical story is the airport's digital transformation. A key part of the upgrade is installing more self-service kiosks and interactive screens throughout the terminal. This is a strategic move to future-proof the airport. By allowing passengers to check themselves in, drop their own bags, and find their way more easily, the airport can process more people faster without having to build more counters or hire more staff. It is a software solution to a hardware problem, using technology to increase the building's capacity. The engineering challenge here is one of pure logistics. How do you gut and rebuild entire sections of a terminal while thousands of passengers are trying to catch flights just meters away? The answer lies in meticulous phased construction. The project is broken down into small, manageable pieces. Temporary walls are erected to segregate construction zones, controlling noise and dust to keep the public areas clean and safe. This kind of work requires constant communication with airlines, retailers, and security staff to manage the ever-changing routes passengers must take to get to their gates. It's an incredibly complex dance of construction and customer service, repeated day after day until the entire terminal is transformed from the inside out. But all this growth in both freight and passengers needs a massive amount of power. So where does that come from? The answer is rising right next to the runway. The third and most ambitious project is Kōwhai Park, a plan to turn 300 hectares of airport land into a massive renewable energy hub. The first phase is a giant solar farm, one of the largest in New Zealand. The scale is hard to comprehend. Around 300,000 individual solar panels will be installed on land right beside the airport's runways. When complete, this solar farm will have a peak generating capacity of 168 megawatts, producing enough clean electricity every year to power 36,000 New Zealand homes. To manage this power, a brand new substation is being built on site to connect the farm to both the national and local power grids. However, building a solar farm next to an airport presents a unique and dangerous engineering challenge: glint and glare. A sudden mirror-like flash of sunlight reflecting off a panel could temporarily blind a pilot during the critical moments of landing or takeoff, with catastrophic consequences. Preventing this is the #1 safety priority. The solution is multi-layered. First, the panels themselves are high-tech. They are coated with an anti-reflective layer and have textured glass surfaces specifically designed to absorb sunlight for energy, not reflect it. Second, before a single panel was installed, engineers used powerful computer software to run a glare analysis. This software models the sun's exact path for every minute of every day of the year and simulates the view from the cockpit of every possible flight path, as well as from the air traffic control tower. This allows engineers to precisely calculate the tilt and orientation of every single solar panel to ensure that no dangerous reflection is ever directed towards a plane or the tower. But the vision for Kōwhai Park goes far beyond just solar power. This project is a deliberate strategy to solve the chicken and egg problem of green aviation. Airlines are hesitant to invest in new, zero-emission hydrogen-powered planes because there is nowhere to refuel them, and airports are hesitant to build expensive hydrogen refueling stations when no planes use them yet. Christchurch is solving this by building a profitable, large-scale energy business first. The solar farm will make money from day one by selling power to the grid. In the future, the airport plans to use this massive supply of clean electricity to generate green hydrogen right on site, creating the fuel source for the next generation of aircraft. It's a bold plan to ensure that when the first hydrogen planes are ready to fly, Christchurch will be the first airport ready to welcome them. These monumental projects don't happen in a vacuum, and they don't come cheap. While there is no single price tag for the entire 2040 master plan, the airport has a capital expenditure plan of $173.8 million for the 2022 to 2027 period alone, covering many of these critical upgrades. The Kōwhai Park Solar Farm is a project worth around 300 million New Zealand dollars, and the freight expansion is a multi-million-dollar investment on its own. This level of spending is under intense scrutiny. New Zealand's Commerce Commission reviewed the airport's financial plans and pricing structures that help pay for these projects. They concluded that the airport was not targeting excessive profits and that its plans were reasonable. The airport also works continuously with the surrounding community to manage its impact, particularly around aircraft noise, updating its plans to ensure it can grow without unduly affecting its neighbors. This entire transformation is a calculated investment, balancing massive engineering challenges with financial responsibility to build a gateway truly ready for the future. This is more than just an airport upgrade. It is a vision of the future of travel, logistics, and energy, all being built on one giant campus. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the engineering behind the Christchurch Airport upgrade, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to Ultimate Mega Builds, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Let us know in the comments what other mega projects you'd like us to cover. Thanks for watching.